Conversations with God, Book 2, Chapter 19. I have rarely seen you so indignant. God doesn't become indignant. This proves you are not God. God is everything, and God becomes everything. There is nothing which God is not, and all that God is experiencing of itself. God is experiencing in, as, and through you. It is your indignation which you are feeling. You're right, because I agree with everything you have said. Know that every thought I'm sending you, you are receiving through the filter of your own experience, of your own truth, of your own understandings, and of your own decisions, choices, and declaration about who you are and who you choose to be. There is no other way you can receive it. There is no other way you should. Well, here we go again. Are you saying that none of these ideas and feelings are yours? That this whole book could be wrong? Are you telling me that this entire experience of my conversation with you could be nothing more than a compilation of my thoughts and feelings on a thing? Consider the possibility that I am giving you your thoughts and feelings on a thing. Where do you suppose these are coming from? That I am co-creating with you your experiences, that I am part of your decisions, choices, and declarations. Consider the possibility that I have chosen you along with many others to be my messenger long before this book came to be. That's hard for me to believe. Yes, we went over all of that in book 1. Yet I will speak to this word, and I will do it among other ways, through my teachers and my messages. And in this book, I will tell your word that its economic, political, social, and religious systems are primitive. I observe that you have the collective arrogance to think they are the best. I see the largest number of you resisting any change or improvement which takes anything away from you. Never mind who it might help. That's so correct, so very, very true. I couldn't agree. I couldn't stop arguing with that, because it's everything what I think. I say again, what is needed on your planet is a massive shift consciousness, a change in your awareness, a renewed respect for all of life, correct, and a deepened understanding of the interrelatedness, relatedness of everything. That's so correct. And there's some of them who fight for politics, fight for political parties. And I'm not talking about the politicians itself, but the people. Even the people, the herders are fighting among each other. It's dividing people. When they are all in it together, it's a group, just like a sport. It's just like, I wouldn't say it's a team, but it's a group, this sport association where there's many team, many name, many colors of jersey, but they belong to a same group. Whether it's left or right, it doesn't matter. And it's a circus. Well, you are God. If you don't want things the way they are, why don't you change them? As I have explained to you before, my decision from the beginning has been to give you the freedom to create your life of free will and enhance yourself as you wish to be. You cannot know yourself as the creator if I tell you what to create, how to create, and then force, require, cause you to do so. If I do that, my purpose is lost. But now, let us just notice what has been created on your planet, and see if it doesn't make you a bit indignant. Let's look at just 4 inside pages of one of your major daily newspapers on a typical day. Pick up today's paper. Okay, It's Saturday, April 9, 1994, and I'm looking at the San Francisco Chronicle. Good. Open it to any page. Alright, here's page blah 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 blah. Fine. What do you see there? The headline says developing nations to discuss labor rights. And look, this one's 1994. 1994. Exactly some times ago, some 30 years or more. Yeah, 28 years ago. Fine. What do you see there? The headline says developing. Okay, excellent. Go on. The story reports on what is called an old schism between industrialized nations and developing countries over labor rights. Leaders of some developing nations are said to be fearful that a campaign to expand labor rights could create a backdoor means of barring the low-wage products from the rich nations' consumer markets. See, labor rights leaders of some developing nations are said to be fearful that a campaign they once resisting back then, that a campaign to expand labor rights could create a backdoor means of barring their lower wage products from the rich nations' consumer markets. It goes on to say that negotiators for Brazil, Malaysia, India, Singapore, and other developing nations have refused to establish a permanent committee of the World Trade Center, or the WTO, which would be charged with drafting a labor rights policy. What right is the story talking about? It says basic rights for workers, such as prohibition on forced labor, establishment of workplace safety standards, and back then there is none in this nation, and a guarantee of the opportunity to bargain collectively. And why do developing nations not want such rights as part of an international agreement? I'll tell you why. But first, let's get clear that it's not the workers in those countries who resist such rights. Those negotiators for the developing nations are the same people who are closely allied with the same people who own and run the factories. In other words, the rich and powerful. You know why? This one's the muppet. They are puppet for the rich, the elite. Why? Because in their country, right, they are in their country, so if they bring in investor, they have to set up rules. And those so-called rich are to comply with their rules, their local rules, as to how to treat the workers and not exploit them. But rather what they do, they allow it, what at least they did back then, isn't it? So you cannot blame on this rich and elite, rich and powerful. You also blame the people of these countries mentioned in Asia and in Latin America. That's true. As in the days before the labor movement in America, those are the people now benefiting from the mass exploitations of workers. Correct. Very, very true. And I once back then I have seen it. You can be sure that they are being quietly assisted by big money in the US and other rich nations, where industrialists no longer able to unfairly exploit workers in their own nations are subcontracting to factory owners in these developing countries, or building their own plants there. Correct. Now they are Indonesia, Thailand, Myanmar, Vietnam, in order to exploit foreigner workers who are still unprotected from being used by others to increase their already obscene profits. But the story says it's our government, the present administration, which is pushing for workers' right to be part of a worldwide trade agreement. Your current leader Bill Clinton, which was back then, is a man who believes in basic worker rights. Even if your powerful industrialists do not, he is courageously fighting big money's vested interests. Other American presidents and leaders throughout the world had been killed for less, correct? Or outtested or impeached and defamed or sent to jail. Some who try to make change, they are sent to jail after their term. They are defamed, they are betrayed, and are sent to jail after they fulfill their term. If a woman, my God, the woman will be impeached before she finishes her term, like it happened in Brazil. It happened to now. It's still a mess over there, political mess. Are you saying President Clinton is going to be murdered? Let's just say there are going to be tremendous powers attempting to remove him from office. It did happen, the scandal with the fat Polish woman called Monica Lewinsky, something like that. Back then I was in my 20s and I already knew I read the chronics about this case, and I always follow up. Do you remember the scandal with Clinton? Yeah, they do that. They do. It's a gangster organization to defame those people, those presidents who want to make changes. Just like as Kennedy was killed because they want to make changes. They have got to get him out of there, just as they had to remove John Kennedy 30 years earlier. Like Kennedy before him, Bill Clinton is doing everything big money hates, not only pressing for workers' rights worldwide, but siding with the little person over the entrenched establishment on virtually every social question. He believes it's the right of every person, for instance, to have access to adequate health care. And what Obama have done? Nothing. What the Obama care did? Only push up the price for the medical insurance, only for those who could afford to pay it. Meanwhile, while the poor who couldn't pay for health care went without the basic health care back then during that man's time in office, during his terms. What Obama did? Nothing. And neither did Clinton. Oh, sorry, not Clinton. What is his name? Trump. And neither this old man now. Only Clinton was okay. Reagan and Clinton was the best, and Kennedy. Clinton, Kennedy, and Reagan. The rest not so good. So whether or not he or she can afford to pay the exorbitant prices and fees that America's medical community has come to enjoy, he has said these costs have got to come down. That has not made him very popular with another very large segment of America's rich and powerful, from pharmaceutical manufacturer to insurance conglomerates, from medical corporation to business owners having to provide decent coverage for their workers. A great many people who are now making a lot of money are going to have to make a little bit less if America's poor are to be given universal health care. This is not making Mr. Clinton the most popular man in town, at least not among certain elements who have already proven in this century that they have the ability to remove a president from office. Are you saying? I'm saying that the struggle between the haves and the have-nots has been going on forever and is epidemic on your planet, correct? Especially now, post-pandemic, how many people are starving? after this post-pandemic results. It will ever be just so long as economic interests rather than humanitarian interests run the world. So long as man's body, not man's soul, is man's highest concern. Well, I guess you're right. On page blah 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 of the same paper, there is a headline: Recession spawns anger in Germany. The lower headline reads, with job leniency at post-war high, rich and poor grow farther apart. And that was back 28 years ago in 1994. I tell you, they are occult. It's occult government. This has happened. It did not alter anything. Such drastic events are not necessary, but could occur. Will they occur? Do you imagine that the future is predictable, even by God? I tell you this, your future is creatable. Create it as you want it. But earlier you said that in the true nature of time there is no future, that all things are happening in the instant moment, the forever moment of now. That's true. Well, are there earthquakes and floods and meteors hitting the planet right now, or aren't there? Don't tell me that as a God you don't know. Yeah, and it did happen. Did it happen? After this book came out, it did happen in the beginning of this century. And many centuries ago as well. Do you want these things to happen? Of course not, but you said everything that's going to happen already has happened, is happening now. That's true, but the internal moment of now is also forever changing. It's like a mosaic, one that is always there, but constantly shifting. You can't blink because it will be different when you open your eyes again. Watch, look, see, there it goes again. I am constantly changing. What makes you change? Your idea about me, your thought about all of it. It is all makes it change instantly. Sometimes the change in the all is subtle, visually indiscernible, depending upon the power of the thought. But when there is an intense thought or a collective thought, then there is tremendous impact, incredible effect. Everything changes. So will there be the kind of major earthwide calamity you speak of? Yeah, there have been. I don't know. Will there? You decide. Remember, you are choosing your reality now. They say that you decide because it's going to depend on our government and our politician. It did much depended, and that's why these aliens came down and then bring the shift, and they use technology to create all those catastrophes and cataclysm here of high, sometimes high proportion, some areas is isolated areas, and they mess with the magma of the planet to create it, to cause it geographical changes, okay, geographical tragedies and cataclysm. I choose for it not to happen, then it will not happen unless it does. Here we go again. Yes, you must learn to live within the contradiction, and you must understand the greatest truth. Nothing matters. Nothing matters? I will explain that in book 3. Well, okay, but I don't like to have to wait on these things. There's so much here for you to absorb already. Give yourself some time. Give yourself some space. Can we not leave yet? Since you are leaving, you always start talking like that when you are getting ready to leave. I'd like to talk about a few other things, such as, for instance, beings from outer space. Are there such things? Actually, we are going to cover that too in book 3. Come on, give me a glimpse, a peek. You want to know if there is intelligent life elsewhere in the universe? Yes, of course. Is it as primitive as ours? Yeah, there are primitive ones. Look around you. There are. But humans also primitive. Some of the life forms are more primitive, some less so, and some are far more advanced than humans. Have we been visited by such extraterrestrial beings? Yes, many times. For what purpose? To inquire, in some cases to gently assist. How do they assist? Oh, they give a boost now and then. For instance, a boost, they talk, when they talk about a boost, they mean trigger you. They trigger mentality to shift and to change, to have that oof, and then go about changing. Even if we have to create a mass renovation in ourselves and in the world around. Surely you are aware that you have made more technological progress in the past 75 years than in all of human history before that. Yes, I suppose so. Do you imagine that everything from CT scans to supersonic flight to computer chips you embed in your body to regulate your heart all came from the mind of a man? So he's now telling that he or she is saying, implying that they contribute with technology, information, and formula to our leaders, okay, to do so in powers as well. And they did all this laser, computers, and many other things like bombs once given to men by the aliens invaded forces, but they work with the rich and powerful. They don't work with the laymen. Then why didn't men think up thousands of years before now? Well, so the guy asked, oh, do you imagine that everything from CT scan to supersonic flight to computer chip you embedded in your body to regulate your heart all came from the mind of a man? Well, yes. Then, why didn't men think them up thousands of years before now? Well, they did. They did before the aliens invader came in. They did. We were more technologically advanced. I mean, our ancestral were technologically advanced, and I could shape shift. We could have telepathy, power, and were able to do much more feat than what we are able to nowadays. I don't know. The technology once it available, I guess. I mean, one thing leads to another, but the beginning technology once it there until it was. It's all a process of evolution. You don't find it strange that in this billion-year process of evolution, somewhere around 75 to 100 years ago, there was a huge comprehension explosion? You don't see it as outside the pattern that many people now on the planet have seen the development of everything from radio to radar to radionics in their lifetime. You don't get in cell phones, headphones, etc. You don't get that what has happened here represents a quantum leap, a step forward of such magnitude and such proportion as to defy any progression of logic. And a long time ago, we were able, during Atlantic and Lemurian time, we could be able to transport ourselves, like I have a vision before. We enter this cubicle, and then we press one code, and then we are transported to another continent in a nanosecond, in the count of 3 seconds, 1 to 3, okay, we already were transported there, the other side. Like I was in Asia and I could go to South America and vice versa by just pressing a code. that represents the other side of the planet. And also, what we could do so many other things long time ago. There was cell phone, and there were headphone long time ago. It has been proved, and it was after the nuclear bomb around five, no, not five, 200 to 150,000 years ago of Atlantis. They erase all that, and then they bring in new people, and this time around they become more stupid. They come back more stupid. That was now our race, that is Homo sapiens 2, became more stupid, and this technology was not to be given to a race that was evolving that size. Understand? That's why we forgot all this, but our ancestors already have had form, they already were able to transport themselves without the need of ships and aeroplane. We use better conduction of locomotions and to commute now a daily basis. You don't get that what has happened here represents a quantum leap, a step forward of sun's magnitude and sun's proportions to defy the progression of logic. Oh, but this happened a long time ago, during the time of Atlantis. What are you saying? I am saying, consider the possibility you have been helped. If we have been helped technologically, why aren't we being helped spiritually? But we are. Why aren't we being given some assistance here if this consciousness shift? You are. I am. What do you think this book is all about? In addition, every day new ideas, new thoughts, new concepts are being placed in front of you. Well, there's nothing more than your duty to do that. Your duty. Who have stripped this race of their original self and consciousness. The process of shifting the consciousness, increasing the spiritual awareness of an entire planet, is a slow process. It takes time and great patience, lifetimes, generations. That's why the nanosecond started on the decade of the 80s, and I start to increase after 1996 above. Yet slowly you are coming around, gently you are shifting, quietly there is change, and you are telling me that beings from outer space are helping us with that. Indeed, they are among you now, many of them. They have been helping you for years. Why don't they then make themselves known? Why don't they then make themselves known, reveal themselves? Wouldn't that render their impact twice as great? No, because they're in fourth dimension. First of all, you cannot see them, and then it takes great strength and a great efforts to make themselves materialize. They can before come. They can come in your dreams, but they are in the fourth dimension above, so it makes difficult for them. Just say it requires a lot of energy. So that's why they don't appear, and also because some are humanoids, some not quite. They are much different than us, very very different. Some are beasts, so you wouldn't be able to. For many people here, you are still not ready for this disclosure yet, for physical disclosure. I don't think that the human race, I am, but you're all are not, because I'm not afraid. I'm a very cold person, and I'm not afraid. I'm logical. I don't like to be emotional. I like to be logical. So I'm red, but you all are still not. The majority of you here not. There are and who want to see more of them goes to my channel, 3D, beyond 3D. I have a channel just about looking for aliens around with the help of a lousy ordinary camera. But still I'm able to see some of them. And then I pinpoint with my eagle eyes. I'm able to see through in the computer. Once I upload online, I'm able to see very clearly. Their purpose is to assist in the change they see that most of you desire, not created, to foster, not force. Were they to reveal themselves, it would be forced by the sheer power of their presence to accord them great honor and give their words great weight. It is preferred that the mass of people come to their own wisdom. Wisdom which comes from within is not nearly so discarded as wisdom which comes from another. You tend to hang on a lot longer to that which you have created than to that which you have been told. Yeah. Will we ever see them, ever come to know these extraterrestrial visitors as who they really are? I have seen a lot since 1983. Oh yes, the time will come when your consciousness will rise and your fear will subside. Then will they appear. Then they will be comforted with you. They are at ease because they don't want to frighten you also. And then they will reveal themselves to you. Some of them have already done so with a handful of people, correct? Me being one of them, and many other people before me. What about the theory now becoming more and more popular that these beings actually malevolent? They are evil. Are there some who mean as harm? Some does. So you must be careful. You must treat it well on this kind of water. You must be careful. You cannot just trust it blindly. Are there some human beings who mean you harm? A lot. Yes, of course. Some of these beings, the lesser evolved, may be judged by you in the same way. You have to remember my injunction. Judge not, but why you judge human? And then you say just your observation. Why can't we judge aliens as well? No one does anything inappropriate given one's model of the universe. Yeah, the same applies to human. And much more to them because they are more aware than is aliens. Aliens supposed to be more aware than us. Okay, so humans are more unaware. They are totally amoebic, moronic. Most humans are morons, so they wouldn't know better. But the aliens supposed to know. But I see that many aliens are still crawling like beasts. I have seen they are huge. They are huge and are very terrifying. They are huge, like those dinosaurs. They are still walking like they are dinosaurs, and they are very frightening. Some beings have advanced in their technology, but not in their thinking. Your race is rather like that. There we go again. Always human, human, human. So yeah, some of these beings, the lesser evolved, may be judged by you in the same way. You have to remember my injunction. Not judge not. Judge not. No one does anything inappropriate, given one's model of the universe or the world here. Some beings have advanced in their technology, but not in their thinking. Your race is rather like that. Yeah, because they vibrate towards these beings who think like them, who are not humans. Okay, and some of us have these beasts within us. Our God self is actually a beast. Okay, that's what I found out. I remember. So, but if these malevolent or evil beings are so technologically advanced, surely they could destroy us. What's to stop them? protection. Because you see, what happened is me who are saying that, not the book, me. What happens here is that there are forces above those who are here on earth, who are representing those who are above them. It is a hierarchy, you see. Thus, these forces here on earth, stationed on earth now, cannot do as they please because they are answerable. Because they behave like a herd, they are like a hive mentality, and they are answerable to their superiors. Just as there are castes in hierarchy here on earth, there are elsewhere as well. So those here who could do us harm, and sometimes they do. Look at it, some words homicide non-stop, feminicide non-stop, infanticide non-stop. What this mean? This means that these people who commit crimes are in tune with these beings who are doing evil things here. But they say they will do this because deep inside the human consciousness, they allow them to penetrate in their psyche and influence them, trigger them to do evil things toward another. So also a male are more vulnerable to temptation than is female. Female are more protected, but they are not protected to be a victim of males, and a victim of other alien invader forces. Okay, so that's how I'm explaining the best I can here, based on what I know. It's not from the book. So they are answerable, and then it makes us what protected, because there's a free will, and also there is a law elsewhere. And these beings who could call them Luciferians group, or the dark forces, they are not allowed to do as they please. There are also rules among them. If they do something evil, it's because the human race has allowed them to. You open up your aura instead of close it to them. You understand? A part of you allowed that because you didn't use your supraconsciousness to think better and not to do stupid things. I have been through a lot of abuse and humiliation in my life, and I have fought it in the best way possible with my intelligence and consciousness, rather than freak out and behave in a very negative way. Okay, so this is what they do to test you, but you must rise above these experiences and approve to them and approve to yourself in the world who you really are. So, but if this malevolent being so technologically advanced, surely they could destroy us. What stopped them? You are being protected. So you see, they don't do this because they are on the same team. The aliens are the same team, where the team good, team light, team dark. They are the same team, and they are concealed. That does not allow anarchy here, unless the human race itself allows it within the context of our own free will. Okay, so that's why they cannot do it, and many of us are protected. We can walk on the park alone. Nothing will attack you because you are being protected. Okay, because you act with your supraconsciousness. They won't harm you when you do that. So you are being protected. We are. Yes, you are being given the opportunity to live out your own destiny, your own consciousness here. See that? So your own consciousness will create the result. So as you plant, so will you sow. As you sow, so will you reap. If we throw a pebble into the pond, it will cause what? A vibration, ripple into the water, isn't it? So be careful with your choices, be careful with your actions, because every action has a reactions. Which means that in this, as in all things, what you think is what you get. Not always. I don't know. I have difficulty to absorb this and accept it. What you fear is what will drawn to you. Yeah, this is true. What you resist persists. What you look at disappears, giving you a chance to recreate it all over again. If you wish to banish it forever from your experience, what you choose, you experience. Somehow it doesn't seem that way in my life, yeah. Because you doubt the power, you doubt me. But why you doubt this being called itself God? Because of the experience you see around us, even if not um, it's not about I specifically speaking, it's about others close to us or about others around us. Those will make us doubt everything we see and have been told. Probably not a good idea. Definitely not. Do I smell some egocentrism here? I don't know, egocentrism. So why would I God say that? And then he turn around and say that no, I'm not egocentric, you can do as you please, blah blah blah. And now he say, somehow. So what? Yes, you are being given the opportunity to live out your own destiny, your own consciousness will create the result. So as I said, be careful. Be careful how you drive your life with fear. If you are in fear, they will attack you, okay? And trigger you to do stupid things. Which means that in this, as in all things, what you think is what you get. What you fear is what will draw to you. What you resist persists. What you look at disappears. Yeah. Giving you a chance to recreate it all over again. If you wish, or banish it forever from your experience. What you choose, you experience. Somehow it doesn't seem that in my life, because you doubted the power. You doubt me. Probably not a good idea. Definitely not. So I end this chapter 19 for now.